I've done now just over 20 episodes. Stat for you: 90% of podcasts do not make it past episode 20. And that puts this podcast in the top 10% of podcasts ever in terms of longevity. I said I'm going to do 52 weeks. Every single week on a Friday, podcast episode's going to be posted, and it'll have been recorded before that. And after 52, if I want to quit, I can. I'm learning a lot about myself. I've probably learned that I don't love what I do in the same way that a lot of my guests love what they do. So many of the people that I have on this podcast really, really wholeheartedly love what they do. The thing that I really got from Calum is he is relentless, and that's something I've really started trying to do, is bringing in guests that maybe have different perspectives to me, different life experiences to me. An incredible human that's done some mind-blowing stuff. The story of his life is incredible. He went from zero twice. In Western society, in modern society, we generally don't push ourselves anywhere near hard enough, and we don't realise anywhere near what we're capable of. The people that I've spoken to face their challenges head on. They go, bang, let's get through that, let's smash through that, let's get over it, round it, under it. Next up, we've got another probably 5 or 6 guests booked in now that I'm going to be recording over the next little while. Fantastic guests, really great stories. We're changing things up a little bit, we're mixing it up. Please, you. Yes, you listening to me and watching me right now. If you're anyone other than my mum, because she's probably already done this, could you please subscribe on whatever format we're on? If it's on Spotify, Apple, I think it's follow on some of those. On YouTube, please subscribe, and please follow on any of the places that you've seen my episodes. It does such a massive positive for the podcast. It really helps us elevate to new audiences. If you could also please rate us, so give us 5 stars on anywhere that you can. Those 2 things will really help the podcast kind of push forward and get to new audiences. So yeah, you listening, watching, I'm talking to you. Please, I would really appreciate if you could help me out. If you've seen value in the episodes. If not, forget about it. But if you've seen value in the episodes so far, then yeah, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Feedback. So I've done now just over 20 episodes. This is going to be episode 20 and a couple more. I would love if I could get your feedback. So if you know me, please drop me a WhatsApp, drop me a text, whatever. Or if you don't, send me a message on Instagram, send me a message on LinkedIn, wherever you come across the content. I would really appreciate if you could give any feedback to me about what I'm doing and how I can improve. And then furthermore, I would love if you could introduce me to someone that you think would be a great guest for the podcast. So loads of you that have listened to a few episodes, that have followed me so far, I would love if you could reach out and introduce me to somebody that you think would be a great guest. It would be super, super helpful. Thank you. So yeah, we're on episode 20 and a couple more on top of that. And podcasts don't usually make it this far. So stat for you: 90% of podcasts do not make it past episode 20. And that puts this podcast in the top 10% of podcasts ever in terms of longevity, which is great because I am inconsistent at best. I've always started and stopped stuff, and my only objective with this podcast was to see it through for a year. So I said to myself at the start of the year, I think the first episode got posted on like the 3rd of January or something, I said I'm going to do 52 weeks. Every single week on a Friday, podcast episode's going to be reposted, and it'll have been recorded before that. And after 52, if I want to quit, I can. But I need to get to number 52. And yeah, so far so good. It's been great. I've actually really enjoyed the kind of new approach to it. And yeah, what I would say is the first 10 I was really just learning about the basics, the fundamentals. And I would say actually now I'm growing into a little bit more of like how I want to make things a little bit better, how I want to optimize. I've just added in a couple of new questions. I recorded an episode just before this with somebody and added in 2 new questions. Tell me about a time that you cried, which I got some feedback from somebody that I've not been asking hard enough questions. So tell me about a time that you cried. And yeah, it was like a really good moment and answer. And I feel like we kind of went a little bit deeper than we maybe have in previous episodes. And then also, what was the other one? Tell me something that I've always found in my life is that I usually get what I want. And people like me and like you are, mentally, we always think we're going to get what we want. And so the other question that I've asked is, tell me about a time that you wanted something or still want something and you've not got it. And yeah, both of those questions were really thought-provoking, and I'm going to be asking them to everyone. So, I've probably only got one or two standard questions that I ask for everyone, but I'm definitely going to be adding that in now. I'm learning a lot about myself. I've probably learned that I don't love what I do in the same way that a lot of my guests love what they do. And that's been an interesting one for me to manage my own head. And I've probably started doing some different stuff because of it. And look, I always saw this podcast as being for me. And, hopefully if it's good for me, it will resonate with you at home as well. And it sounds like it has for some people. And yeah, I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned is so many of the people that I have on this podcast really, really wholeheartedly love what they do. I'm just not sure I'm there anymore, which is interesting, and I'm developing that and I'm learning that, and I might actually flip the plan a little bit, get on a business coach or get on a life coach or something and dig into that a little bit more. But yeah, certainly up until now I've learned that I'm probably not quite exactly where I want to be, and I'm going to be working on that. I have, as I've kind of touched on already, got a lot more confident asking tougher questions. I've added in some newer ones, and I definitely think, what's the worst thing that happens if I ask some tougher questions? So you probably noticed I was tiptoeing a little bit more in the first kind of 10 episodes. I like to think I've taken it up a notch over the last 10, and I'm definitely pushing a lot further more recently as well with some of the questions that I've had lately. Now, on to guests. So I'm going to run through each of the guests that I've had so far, and probably the thing that I took from them the most. So first one up, Calum White, obviously from the same place in Edinburgh. And Calum and I have known each other quite a while. The thing that I really got from Calum is he is fucking relentless. He is so relentless. Like, he runs a company of 400 people, and I know that if you said to me just now, Calum, text someone, and if they reply within a minute, then you're not going to die, and if they don't, then you will die. Calum White would probably be the person I would text. He is just relentlessly on it. Like, he's just on. And look, I'm sure that's got its downsides as well, but yeah, that was definitely something that I took from him. I knew it before, but just seeing it when I was speaking to him, wow, just so much relentlessness. Next, Sophia Delavari. So almost the inverse of that in a way. I don't know if, I'm working on the fast and slow, hard and soft, as I'm going to speak about a little bit later on. So it's maybe not the opposite. But the thing that I learned from Sophia was having compassion along the way with yourself and with others. She's definitely, of the guests I've had on, one of the more kind of soft and listens to her heart, listens to herself, and that's something I've very rarely ever done. And I definitely think that I learned a lot from Sophia there. And that's something I've really started trying to do, is bringing in guests that maybe have different perspectives to me, different life experiences to me. It'd be easy to just go and get entrepreneur after entrepreneur after entrepreneur, but that's not what I've done this far. Yeah, granted, quite a lot of the early ones were entrepreneurs or athletes, and we resonate with each other, and they still are, and they always will be. But I definitely want to bring in more contrasting perspectives and opinions, again, selfishly for me to learn and to grow. And yeah, hopefully you at home, exact same for you. Eamon Heggarty next. So yeah, Eamon, obviously being a Glam Petit client, I've known him for a little while, and the stuff that they're doing in the industry, in the Glam Petit industry, is incredible. And he was probably one of the ones where, it did hit home that I maybe don't love what I do as much anymore. Like, the way that he was talking about his site and the things that he's doing, I just think, like, that used to be me, and now it's not. And yeah, so Eamon taught me that I don't love what I do as much as I did anymore, and I am going to develop that out. I'm going to understand it, I'm going to learn from it, and we're going to take it from there. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned for episode 30 when I'll tell you what happened. Clarita De Quiroz next. Yeah, she was great. When we first started speaking, I didn't realise she was from Scotland, and she is, and her accent got a bit more Scottish as we started speaking. The thing that I really learned from Clarita is that people in the spotlight struggle, often more than others. And, she was turning up and hosting events and singing and dancing and doing all of the things that she does. And on the inside, she was really struggling. And look, that there is probably the main lesson that I wanted to learn myself and to teach others at home, is that often the people that you aspire to be, the people you look up to, the people that you think have got it easy, they've often got it the hardest of them all. And yeah, Clarita taught me that. She faced her struggles. It sounds like she's growing out of them now, and yeah, you just don't realise that when you're, especially somebody that's maybe looking up to these people, you just don't realise the challenges that they face. Next, we've got Michael Logue. So he massively taught me, this is something I've been working on a lot myself lately, is you can be a business owner and also be fit and healthy. And it's something that I almost used to think was like a paradox. They were the opposite of each other. You can't be fit and healthy and run a business. And yeah, he definitely demonstrated that you can. Similar on the fitness trend, Charlie Johnson. So he was, I think, my first guest with a large following. We had Muta as well in the kind of first 10 block. Charlie Johnson's got over half a million followers on Instagram. And I so quickly realised why when we started speaking. His marketing knowledge and understanding, and he used the term, I engineer my marketing. And I was just blown away by that. It's just a marketing genius, and it just made me realise how important marketing is. I've always been so big on marketing. I think marketing is the number one most important thing in the world when it comes to business. And yeah, he just really made that hit home. Nezha Alaoui, so she is one of the ones that I was a little bit anxious about before the episode, because she has very differing worldviews to me, very differing life experiences to me. And yeah, I wondered how that was going to go. And I think we had a really good conversation. And honestly, I think I could have probably said some of my stronger opinions and still had a really great conversation. And I definitely came towards a lot of what she said as well, or at least understood the perspectives. An incredible human that's done some mind-blowing stuff. And yeah, that's probably one of the episodes that so far I've taken the most out of, which has been great. And whilst she's very soft and a lot of the stuff that she does is quote unquote soft, she's also incredibly hard in some ways. And you know, this is going to be a bit of a theme that I'm going to speak about over the next few minutes. Next, we've got Dariush Soudi, who definitely is in that camp of hard and soft. He's so big on love and care and stuff like that, but at the same time, he is a hard-nosed businessman and ruthless in some ways. I first met, quote-unquote, Darius when he was on a stage. And he was one of, I said this to him, I'll say this with him probably never seeing this, one of the best people on that stage over that period. And we had Stephen Bartlett on that stage. He shared a stage with Jay Shetty. And yeah, he is an incredible guy with an incredible story, a mind-blowing story. When you talk about the bits you don't see, the story of his life is incredible. He went from zero twice, and there's a lesson. You know, it's not how much you've got, it's the tools that you've got to get yourself there, because if you get stripped away of what you've got, you can get back with the tools to where you were before. The other thing that I've found really interesting about him is the power of activity. Like, he is so strong on activity, and bang, bang, bang. He's on hundreds of podcasts. He's on, loads of events. He's just active, relentless. And yeah, that was something that I definitely took a lot away from there as well. And then finally, Michael Logue, who taught me, just what you're capable of. Like, something along the lines of, your mind is so much more capable of dealing with stuff than you think, and your body is as well. I definitely got the quote wrong, but it's words to that effect. And yeah, I think that probably in Western society, in modern society, we generally don't push ourselves anywhere near hard enough. And we don't realise anywhere near what we're capable of. And I think that he definitely taught me that when we were talking. I think the other thing that I found really interesting about him, I think it's a good thing, is he doesn't find anything hard. It's almost like he needs hard to feel good. And that was really interesting. I think, maybe he'll face some challenges with that over his life as well. But I tend to probably agree with that generally. Or I tend to tend with it. I don't know if I agree with it. I tend to tend with it. Certainly in business, I think, if it's not been hard, it's not been worth it. Even if you get something that's super high value that hasn't been as hard. But yeah, I just, when I asked him, what challenges did he face, it's none. It was very much just everything's been easy. And I'm sure that he has faced challenges. Of course he has, everyone has, especially doing what he does. But I think he reframes them into something completely different. And so he doesn't see them in the same way that you or maybe I would. Hard and soft. So I've mentioned that at a couple of points throughout this already. And honestly, it's been the kind of trend of probably the number one main thing I've been trying to learn. So, maybe red car theory, that's why I've found it in so many of the people I've been speaking to over the last little while. For you, those of you that don't know red car theory, is how often do you see a red car? I don't know, not very often. If you think about a red car and you go out into the street, you will go and see a red car. And so, yeah, the point with that is I've probably been seeking this out a little bit, and I definitely found it the kind of hard and soft piece. The main one by far is Dariush. I mean, my God, he is a hard bastard, but at the same time, one of the softest people I've ever come across. And, you know, he said even things like, I would just go and hug people all day if I could. But on the flip side, he can be so aggressive and so strong and so, you know, fuck off, get out of my office type stuff. And yeah, I just found it really incredible. So that's definitely been one of the main takeaways that I've had over this last 10 episodes. Same with Nezha. She's really similar in that she's stern and strong. And when she arrived, we were straight in and she was just like, let's just start talking. You're some guest I'm speaking to for half an hour before we start. We were sat down and started within 5 minutes. And so she's very hard in some regards, but then very soft in others. So she's so compassionate and so caring, and yeah, you know, really caring about other humans. Next, what have we got? I've got notes down here. So yeah, again, along the lines of what I've been speaking about before, find something you love and you'll never work another day in your life. I mean, just about everyone that I've just mentioned there loves what they do. And as I say, I don't know, it's maybe made me realise that I don't quite know if I do, which is interesting. And it's something that I'm going to be working on over the next little while. And again, I'm actually going to take a note of this because I'm going to revisit this the next time I'm speaking directly to you. Everyone faces challenges. That's what I've learned. I mean, you know, maybe you could ask Michael if he faces challenges, Michael Logue, and he might say no. I think if you dug in though, you would definitely get a different answer. And you know, everyone faces challenges. And I think the difference between the last 10, 12 people that I've spoken to and everyone else is that the people that I've spoken to face their challenges head on. They go, bang, let's get through that. Let's smash through that. Let's get over it, round it, under it. Let's lift it up into the air and crawl past it. Like, they'll just find a way to get through the challenges. Whereas I think a lot of other people maybe face a challenge and go, oh, well, that one's not for me. And I used to be so good at that. I used to be so relentless, and I probably am in it anymore. And again, you know, this is something I'm going to work on. It's something that I'm going to feed back to you for next time. Finally, and probably the inverse of some of them, and this comes back to the whole hard and soft thing. You can be one thing whilst being another. You can be hard and soft. You can push and pull. And so what do I mean by that? I learned from quite a few of the people that, you know, maybe letting go and letting things come can sometimes work better than anything else. And so I've started doing that. I've done that with the podcast marketing. I've, you know, not pushed at all on that, really. I just want to get a load of good episodes and see what happens. And well, as I said at the start, I don't have a big mad number goal other than I just want to do 52 episodes of the podcast and see where we get to. So yeah, you don't need to push too much. Do what you need to do and see what happens. Paired with relentlessness, we're all kind of tying everything up in a knot here. Paired with relentlessness, you can be hard and soft with both of them together. That's pretty much everything. So if you've made it this far, we'll look back right down to what I said at the start. Please, if you could go share, comment, like, wherever you are, rate us wherever you are, and please, please, please subscribe. I would really love that. Next up, we've got another probably 5 or 6 guests booked in now. That I'm going to be recording over the next little while. Fantastic guests, really great stories. We're changing things up a little bit. We're mixing it up. We're going to have people flipping it and talking to me a bit more. Me talking a bit more. Let's see how the next 10 go. But I definitely feel like I'm really primed to go to the next level with the next group of people, the next 10. And I'll feed back with some of the stuff we spoke about there next time. Thank you. See you on the next episode.